This will introduce Leroy Edward Cron. Mr. Cron is in Piqua, Ohio. We are at Sterling House. Mr. Cron was born in Piqua, Ohio, March 19, 1921. He served with the Army and was attached to the Air Force. The highest rank he obtained was sergeant. And we are meeting today here in Piqua, Ohio, and would like to thank the Clifford Thompson American Legion Post 43 of Troy, Ohio for sponsoring this project. My name is Millie Wurick, and I am a volunteer. Also present with me is Tristan Weiss, who is a liaison to Speaker Boehner on Veterans Affairs. And the interview is being conducted for the Veterans History Project in the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress. Mr. Cron, I'd like to talk to you a little bit and start with where you were born.
Where I was born?
Yes.
I was born about a mile and a half east of Piqua, just south of 36.
And when was that?
Well, that had been the 19th of March to 1921.
What did your parents do?
Well, my dad, he liked the carpenter work, but we lived on a farm, and when I got old enough to do the work on the farm, well, I done most of it. My brother and I did most of the farming, and Dad done carpenter work.
So you had a brother. Did you have any sisters?
I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters.
Did they all, were any of them also in the service?
No.
No. What did you do before you entered the service?
What did I do in the service?
What did you do before you went into the service?
Well, I worked at Decker's for about a year after I got out of high school, and I was able to rent some ground. I was farming ground, and Dad's ground too, so kept me pretty busy.
So then you farmed and then you got drafted?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how you got drafted and what training camp was like.
Well, I was drafted in 42, September the 5th. It was my orders. There was notice that I was drafted, and I didn't have to leave till October the 5th.
Where did you go to training?
Port Thomas, Kentucky.
So not terribly far away.
How's that?
Not too far away.
No.
What was the training like?
Well, all we done there was they gave us a IQ test and interviewed us and decided which they figured was the best place for us, or best thing for us to be in or do.
Mm-hmm.
And when they finally decided I could be an airplane mechanic after had went to school, I was willing to do it. I was one that kind of liked to work around something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we left for New Jersey on the beach, and that's where we took our basic training. All we done was march and tried out to use the rifles and the pistols, learned how to use them. And I was transferred to Chinook Field. I don't know just when it was, what day it was I got to Chinook Field. But I didn't go the first time I got orders to go there because they'd lost my record.
Oh dear.
So I had to wait a while, and then the second time they done the same thing. So they finally shipped me the third time and he went to teletype school. He went at Chinook Field.
Ah. So did you ever do the aircraft training, or did you go straight into
No,
teletype training?
I got training into teletype mechanic, and then after that I taught school there for a while until I shipped out.
What did you teach?
Teletype.
Ah. And where did you ship out to first?
Went to, from there we went to Santa Ana, California on a troop train.
Do you remember the name of the troop train?
No.
And what ship did you get on?
I didn't get it on a ship.
No?
I there was about 15 or 16 of us got in a Pullman car, and we come clear back to the East Coast.
Why?
Because they didn't know what to do with it.
Oh.
We ended up, I can't remember the name of the airfield where we ended up, close to Warrenton, Virginia.
Uh-huh. Well, it looks like you eventually ended up getting out of the country. When was that, and where did you go?
Well, I didn't get to go out of the country for quite a while.
Ah.
Because from there I went to Signal Corps School
Uh-huh.
up at Warrenton, then back to Warrenton, or back to the airfield, then down to Asheville, North Carolina for 3 weeks, then back to the airfield, and then I got a 10-day furlough and went home, and then went to Sufford Field, Michigan, just north of Detroit.
What'd you do
Then
there?
we went to Miami.
Huh. Still training?
Huh?
Still just doing training? Were they training you, or what did you do when you were in Michigan?
Well, and then to the Warrenton and Asheville, they just taught us more about what we could do for them teletype machines. But they're not complicated. They're a simple machine.
Mm-hmm.
And we left Miami on a plane, went to Bermuda, stopped there and got fuel and breakfast, went to the Azores, stopped again, ate breakfast and refueled. And from there we went to West Africa, and I never did find out what the name of the place was. We stopped there. And then went to Libya, and from there to Asheville, not Asheville, but Cairo, Egypt. We had a choice. We could either go out to see the pyramids and the Sphinx, or we could go out to the field, and they had cots set up in a tent, and we could take a nap if we wanted to. Well, we decided to go out to see Sphinx. We come back from there, we went to, had to be back about 10 o'clock that night. We stopped at a restaurant and ate, and then we got back there and got on a plane and flew to Aberdeen, Iran. It was hot. It was so hot you couldn't touch the inside of the plane. That is, you got on the plane to leave, well, you couldn't touch it. It was so that hot. But it took a while to get up high enough that it cooled it off. Then we went to Karachi. And we stayed, I don't know, just to remember how long. I stayed there at Karachi. It wasn't too long, and we went to flew from there to New Delhi, and refueled and went on to Chaboy, at the end of the Lido Road.
And then?
Well, I took a trip up the Lido Road one day. I decided, another boy and I did, another soldier and I did, we'd like to see what it was like, because you hear a lot of it, about it in the paper when you're home.
Mm-hmm.
And we got on a convoy that was going up the road, hauling stuff into China, and we got with them, and I spent a day on that going. Then got a plane back home, back to Chaboy.
What did you see when you went out?
Seen what kind of a road it was. The part we seen was a pretty good road, I thought, except that it had awful steep hills, and if they got a truck that they lost its compression, they just bail out and let them go over the hill. There I went down to Tezgond, which is in East Bengal, and I took a trip one time from there to China.
Uh-huh.
Just plane to hauling stuff in. I flew into China and was there just long enough to refuel and eat and come back, go back to the field I was at.
So what were your days like? Did you have a normal schedule when you went in and did teletype messages all day, or what was it like?
Well, at back Chaboy, you had a certain, you had a, well, it was 8 hours a day, and it could be at night because they kept mechanic on duty all the time there. Because there was a pretty important field.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I met one of the boys from here, from Ohio there.
Oh.
I went to see him. He was working in a tea factory, and I visited with him there. And then I seen a plane, one of the planes one night I was visiting with him, just got off the ground and it crashed.
Oh.
That was some wreck. I didn't want to see it again.
No.
There were soldiers or flyers that they was, well, killed all of them on it.
Yeah. Including your friend from Ohio?
How's that?
Was your friend from Ohio on that plane?
He wasn't a friend, he was just a person I knew.
Someone you knew from Ohio? Yeah. Was he in the plane crash?
Yeah.
Do you remember his
Oh,
name?
no, he wasn't. He worked in this here tea factory. I don't know just exactly what his job was. It was to keep records or something like that sort. And from there, like I said, we went to Tezgond, or I did, and I was there by myself. I mean, there wasn't any other mechanics there. I had two places to take care of. One was at Krematola. They had a teletype there, and I had to go there every now and then and check it and take care of it if something went wrong.
Sounds busy. If you were the only mechanic.
I wasn't busy.
No?
I had all the time in the world there, nothing to do.
Did you have any friends?
Well, there was nobody else there that was a teletype mechanic. I had to work or make friends with the guys that lived there,
Uh-huh.
worked there on other things. I wasn't there very long until one day one of the boys said something about taking him to go up to WWII and see what we could see there. So we got a 3-day pass and took off for New Delhi.
What was that like?
Well, we rented bicycles and rode over to Old Delhi
Ah,
and went through the Red Fort.
what was that like?
Well, it was different. That's where the kings and all the people stayed. They lived there. Most of the people lived in the fort.
Were you homesick?
Did I what?
Were you homesick?
Never did.
You're a long way from home.
Well, I got used to it by then.
Did you?
But we took a 3-day pass. We took off for New Delhi. We got them bicycles and went out and seen the Red Fort. The next day we flew down to Agra. And we went to the Fort Agra, which is way up on a hill. And you could look down from there and see the Taj Mahal.
Ah.
That was something that we were interested in seeing. And it was really a pretty place.
Was it?
Yeah, it got flowers and trees and, well, just about anything you want around it. You couldn't go in and see it because with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off. And go in with the stocking feet. But we decided to do it, and we went.
That's something you would only do once in a lifetime.
Yeah, that's right. That one boy that decided that he didn't want to go out to Cairo and visit the Sphinx and the pyramids, he told me when he got home afterwards, he says, "I'm glad I did go."
Yes.
He's the only one that didn't, but he never traveled much or anything before he went. He got in the service, so he was young. He was only 19, and so it was something new to him altogether.
How did the local people seem? Did they welcome you there?
Didn't have no problem with them.
No.
We had a lot of them working on the base, doing different things. They didn't use, they all used our language to teach, to talk, because the kids had to take English in school. They all learned it. And so,
Did you get news from back home? Did you get regular letters and newspapers?
well, my mother and sometimes my sister would write one. I didn't get no newspapers, but I got letters. And I had a cousin that she'd write to me every now and then.
I bet that was welcome.
Oh yeah, glad to get them and find out what's going on.
Did you miss any big events while you were gone?
Well, yeah, my two sisters got married while I was gone.
Ah.
And I had a couple uncles. Well, one uncle had died, and one was he was an uncle too, Forrest Roucher. He married my dad's sister, and he passed away, and she did too. It just seemed like the family didn't last long. Well, I only got one sister now.
Yeah. Hard to be away. Did it feel like it was wartime to you?
No, I thought it was the worst, wasted with government's time.
Really? Kind of in the back. Now the teletype messages you were sending back and forth, just kind of routine kinds of things?
No, the teletype message was more on what planes was going to take off and land at your airfield.
Ah. Well, that sounds like an important part of communications.
Well, didn't have no problem with it. Your teletype was, you got your signals for it from by radio.
Uh-huh.
And you didn't work on the radios. You might adjust them,
Right.
but you didn't work on them. They had boys that soldiers that really that's all they done.
Mm-hmm.
They had they was just like I was. They would work on them, and then they had boys that run the teletypes, incoming messages, sending them out. Like the tab boy, I forget how many was there, how many teletypes we had, and they had there's a thing that they could put on there that they could decode and encode messages.
Ah.
And that was in a room by itself. That is, it wasn't in the rest of the building. It was complicated. They never did break it, I don't think. And I know I couldn't. There's no way I could break the code on that thing.
What did you do when you weren't working? Did they have any kind of sports at the sports or recreation or reading, or did you go dancing? What did you do?
I would go over the oh, it wasn't the PX. The PX they had was just like a place to buy drinks and candy and whatever you want to. But they had places where they had Red Cross had women working there,
Mm-hmm.
and they tried to entertain you, talk to you, visit with you.
Did you fall in love?
No, I was married by then.
Oh, were you married before you left the service? Before you went into the service?
Yeah, I was married before I went into service.
And what date did you marry?
September the 5th, 1942.
Oh, just before you shipped out, huh?
Well, see, when we went on our honeymoon down in Kentucky, and while we was gone, that's when the orders come for me to go.
And what was your wife's name?
Pauline.
Pauline. So she was a war bride, huh?
She's the one that had to worry.
So I met.
Well, she got to go. She was good several places where I was.
Was she?
Just like Asheville, North Carolina. Well, I knew when I was going there, and I knew when how long I was going to be there. I wrote a letter and told her, and well, I think I called her too, and I met her when we got into Asheville. We done quite a bit of traveling around there, because you didn't have nothing to do.
Pretty country.
You know, you better believe it is.
Yeah.
And we went up. Well, you see, the road, they didn't have the road up through the mountains like they do now. They started building it, and the war come along and stopped it. But we'd take a trip ever go someplace. They had houses there, places, motel or hotels. Like the Tremore, it was made out of stone.
Uh-huh.
And Biltmore, it was there. We went to the Biltmore home while we was there.
Nice. Did she live in Piqua while you were overseas?
Did she live in Pickway?
Uh-huh.
No, she lived with her folks.
Did she?
Yeah, she stayed with them. They live over at Pleasant Hill.
Ah. So, where did you go after New Delhi?
Well, we went back to try to get a plane back to Tescon, where we was stationed at.
Uh-huh.
And they told us it was better off if we just fly down to Calcutta and catch one out of there. So we did. We got back, and our orders was waiting on us for. Well, they wasn't waiting. They was they got them, and it would only be a couple of days, and we would ship out to come home.
Ah. And when was that?
I don't know. We wasn't there very long. I know when we left Calcutta for home, we left on November the 20th.
1945. Back home. That must have been exciting.
It was nice sailing until we got in the Mediterranean Sea. We got out of that, just out of off from Rock of Gibraltar. It was rough.
Ah.
The days that we wouldn't go over 100 mile, because we just head into the waves and take it.
What ship were you on? What was the name of the ship? Hayes? Hays?
Let's see. Got it wrote down here someplace. When we got back to New York.
Oh, Haze.
H-A what?
Haze. The Hayes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got back to New York. We just got off the ship and got in a barge that took us over to the New Jersey side, and we got off and went into stayed at not debarkation place, but where we was discharged.
Ah.
And we never got out of it. Next morning after we got up and we ate breakfast, and we went in and got our orders to leave for home. And we got home. I got home on the 1st of January of 1946.
How did you come home from New York?
How did I come what?
How did you get home from New York? A train?
Yeah.
Train? So, where were you when you found out the war was over?
I lived out east of Pickaway. I was fortunate to rent a farm there.
Uh-huh.
And I lived there 3 years, and it was a small farm. It wasn't a big one. And I got a chance to rent one where I moved in, 3 years after that. And I lived on that farm until I retired, until I got here, as you might say.
What did you farm?
Corn and beans.
Was it?
Started out, we had a dairy herd.
Ah.
And I made more money off of them dairy cows than anything it was. They was good cows.
Mm-hmm.
finally ended up buying a farm. First, a couple times I tried to talk them into it, but they didn't want to do it. And I ended up buying it.
Was it hard getting back after you'd been away for so long?
Not really.
No? Your friends have a party for you when you got back?
Most of them didn't know I'd even been in the service. One of the closest neighbors there says, he didn't even know I'd been gone.
I'll bet your wife knew you were gone.
Oh, yeah.
Where did she meet you? Where did you meet with her when you got back?
Well, she met me at the railroad station here in Pickwick.
Railroad station in Pickwick? I didn't know there was a railroad station in Pickwick.
Pennsylvania.
Ah. I bet she was happy to see you.
Oh, yeah. We was happy to see each other.
So you didn't have any trouble readjusting to civilian life?
It was just kind of hard to get enough money because you didn't have an income, really.
Right.
That
Kind of
was the
starting
biggest
from
problem.
scratch. So you started with the dairy herd and you had corn and beans and farmed all your life after that?
That's all I ever done.
Did you keep up with any of your service buddies?
I kept up with the 2 or 3 of them, or just writing to them.
Uh-huh. You remember any of their names?
Well, Claire Montgomery was one of them. He was up at Bluffton, Ohio.
Not too far away.
No. There's another one was from New York. He went to California, but I don't know. I think he was going to sell insurance when he got to California.
Uh-huh.
It was Warren Winchback. That's a good name.
I was going to say, how do you spell his last name?
I don't really remember anymore. I did know, but not been so long.
Sounds like a good German name, doesn't it? So, did you ever, how did you feel like the wartime affected your life? Did you feel like it sort of derailed being a farmer, or it was nice to see the Taj Mahal, I'm sure, but how did you feel it affected you? Did it mature you, or?
I don't think it really affected my any. I know one thing I've noticed that all the boys that didn't go were my age. They had problems.
Really?
And they didn't turn out too good to be farming.
Well, you did your bit for your country. I mean, tell-type messages, getting the information back and forth, it was an important service for your country, so you had that satisfaction.
But I never bothered, I don't know that I ever seen one after I got out of the service. Today, I doubt they even use them.
Probably not with all the computers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever fool with radios after you got out? Were you interested in the technology?
No.
It was a job and they drafted you and you did a good job for them and you were done, huh?
I didn't work in the factory at all, any place after I got out of the service.
Mm-hmm. Good. So probably, did you and your wife have children?
We had, actually we had 4 boys and a girl, but we only got 3 boys.
Grandkids?
Hmm?
Have grandkids? You have grandchildren?
Oh yeah, we got a bunch of them. Some great grandchildren now.
Well, I think we're all happy you came back from the war in one piece and we got the Cron family to continue in Pickwick. Is there anything else you would like to add for the tape?
Well, and then my youngest boy graduated from high school. I asked him if he's going to farm. He says no, or he's going to milk cows, and he says no. And I says, well, I ain't either. So that's when I sold him.
Ah. Did any of your boys go into the military, or your daughter?
That's the funny thing about it. They never raised hogs. We had a few hogs now and then, but never had many hogs around. And both of them, the two boys, raised hogs after they got to farming.
Ah.
And he's been farming for, I don't know how many years, and he's still raising hogs. He raises more what you call show hogs.
Uh-huh.
He sells people who wants to show them a junior fair places.
So, you were the guy in your family who traveled the furthest. All righty. Well, thank you very much.